Have you ever felt the sting of a loss so profound, it leaves you questioning your very existence? That moment when the world around you seems to crumble and you're left standing amidst the rubble of your own life. Loss is a universal experience, an inevitable part of our existence. It might be the loss of a loved one, tearing a hole in the fabric of your life. It could be the loss of a job, shattering your sense of security and purpose. Or perhaps it's the loss of a dream, a vision you held for your future that's now just a distant memory. These losses leave us grappling with despair as we struggle to make sense of a world that's suddenly changed beyond recognition. The ground beneath us feels uncertain, our hearts heavy with grief. And in the midst of that despair, you might find yourself asking, is there any hope for restoration? In the midst of our darkest hours, there is a promise that glimmers like a beacon of hope. This promise is the promise of restoration. It is a concept that is as old as time, yet as fresh as the morning dew. It is the promise that no matter how deep the wound, no matter how profound the loss, there is a potential for healing, for recovery, for restoration. Restoration isn't simply a return to a previous state. It is a process of transformation. It's about taking the fragments of what was and fashioning them into something new, something stronger and something more beautiful than before. Imagine, if you will, a stained glass window, shattered into 1,000 pieces. Each piece, a memory, a moment, a fragment of a life once lived. The process of restoration takes these pieces and lovingly, carefully, puts them back together. Not as they were, but into a new form, a new pattern. The result is not a perfect replica of the original, but a new creation, vibrant with color and light, more beautiful for having been broken. This is not a mere theoretical concept. There are countless stories of individuals who have walked this path, people who have experienced profound loss and found restoration in the most unlikely places. Consider the woman who lost her family in a tragic accident only to discover a calling to work with grieving families, bringing them comfort and hope. Or the man who lost his livelihood, only to find a passion for a new career that brought him more fulfillment than he ever dreamed possible. These stories, and countless others, serve as powerful reminders that even in our darkest moments, restoration is possible. They show us that we are not defined by our losses, but by how we respond to them. And so let us hold on to the promise of restoration. Let us remember that it is not just about replacing what was lost, but about discovering something new and beautiful in its place. Let us carry this promise with us as a beacon of hope in the midst of our darkest hours. Restoration is not just about replacing what was lost, but about discovering something new and beautiful in its place. Restoration doesn't happen overnight. It is a journey, often filled with unexpected twists and turns. The path to restoration, much like the winding course of a river, meanders and bends, sometimes bringing you to places you never anticipated. But it's in these unexpected territories, these uncharted waters, where the most profound growth often occurs. You see, the journey of restoration is not merely about reclaiming what was lost. It's about transformation. It's about growing, evolving, becoming more than you were before. It's about turning the rubble of what was into the foundation for what can be. So how do we navigate this road to restoration? Well, it starts with maintaining a positive mindset. Now, this isn't about ignoring the pain or the loss, far from it. It's about acknowledging it, feeling it fully, but then choosing to focus on the potential for growth and renewal that lies within it. Next, don't be afraid to seek support. Restoration is not a journey we need to make alone. Reach out to those around you, be they friends, family, or even professionals who can provide guidance and support. Sharing your journey can lighten your load and provide much-needed perspective. And finally, stay open to new opportunities. Sometimes, in the wake of loss, new doors open. Opportunities for new experiences, relationships, even new ways of seeing the world can present themselves. Embrace these opportunities. They are the universe's way of saying, there's more for you here. There's more for you to be, to do, to experience. Remember, every step you take on this path, no matter how small, is a step toward restoration. Each moment of acceptance, each act of forgiveness, each expression of gratitude, each instance of letting go, brings you closer to the person you're meant to become, closer to the life you're meant to live. So embrace the journey. Embrace the twists, the turns, the unexpected detours. For it is through these that we grow, that we transform, that we restore. Remember, every step you take on this path, no matter how small, is a step toward restoration. At the heart of every restoration story is a powerful force that fuels the journey: faith. Let's delve into the role of faith in the process of restoration. It's not just an abstract concept, but a tangible force that can move mountains, part seas, and restore what's been lost. It's like a beacon of hope in the darkest night, guiding us back to wholeness. Consider the story of a woman named Emma. Emma's life was shattered when she lost her job, her home, and her sense of self. It seemed as though all the doors were closing around her. But she held on to her faith, not because it was easy, but because it was all she had left. Her faith became her lifeline. Emma began to see her situation not as a punishment, but as a challenge. She believed that there was a purpose behind her struggle, and that her faith would lead her to a better place. She began to pray, to meditate, and to seek wisdom in her faith. Each day, she took steps towards restoration, fueled by her faith. And then there's John, a man who had lost everything to addiction. His faith was buried under years of regret, guilt, and shame. But one day, John decided to dig deep and unearth that faith. It was a slow process, filled with setbacks and disappointments. But with each step, his faith grew stronger. John began to believe that he was not defined by his past, but by his potential. His faith became his shield, protecting him from the demons of his past. He began to see his struggle not as a life sentence, but as a stepping stone towards a better future. These stories highlight the transformative power of faith. It's a rallying cry in the midst of despair, a source of strength when we are weak, and a guiding light leading us to restoration. Faith is not just about believing in something greater than ourselves. It's about believing in our capacity to rise again, to rebuild, and to restore. It's about seeing the possibility of a new dawn, even in the middle of the darkest night. Your faith is your compass. Let it guide you through the storm and bring you home to the shores of restoration. Loss and restoration, it's a cycle as old as time itself. We all journey through moments of loss, be it a cherished relationship, a dream, or even a piece of ourselves. But remember, these are not endings, merely pauses in the grand symphony of life. The divine promise of restoration is ever present, a silver lining to the darkest cloud. It's the rhythm of the universe, a dance between what was and what will be. Remember, after every loss, there is a promise of restoration. Keep faith in your heart and let it guide you back to wholeness. Love, hopeful hearts.